All right, good morning again, and thank you, Emily and Gail, for helping out. They are our wizards behind the scenes who kind of make all this stuff happen, where I'm in front of the scenes here trying to do all this. Definitely would not be able to do this without Emily and Gail. So thank you to both of you and to all of our wonderful members who are tuning in today. It's a little chilly this morning, so hopefully you guys are staying warm and enjoying some breakfast or coffee or whatever it is you do in the morning. Of course, I am Jed Dodds, and we are here on another amazing Wild Wednesday member virtual chat, and we are here joined by Miss Hannah. Hannah is one of our lovely zookeepers, and she is a zookeeper, a animal care specialist for our squirrel monkeys, which is our highlighted animal today. Of the very inquisitive, fun, small little primate. So Hannah, before we get into that, let's learn a little bit about you. How long have you been here? And how long have you been a keeper?
I have been at Reid Park Zoo for about 2.5 years now. And I've been lucky enough to work with the Squirrel Monkeys for almost that entire time. I've been with them since they came to the zoo. So I've had a lot of fun working with them. They've taught me a lot, and I've learned a lot from them. So it's been pretty great. I've been a zookeeper for a few years, but I actually started as in the vet field. I was a vet technician for a really long time. And I thought I wanted to be a vet. And then I had the incredible opportunity to work with some exotic animals in South Africa. And I realized that I wanted to be a zookeeper and teach people about conservation and these incredible animals. So that's what led me to this field. And I've been really happy to be at Reid Park Zoo for the last couple of years.
And I think a lot of you guys maybe out there that want to work with animals, sometimes they don't know how. What is the first steps? And I know we're diverting a little bit from our squirrel monkeys. We will get to them, I promise. But we get this question all the time for those people that love animals and want to be a zookeeper, but they don't know how. So for that teenager out there, for that child out there, for that college student out there, what is your suggestion on how they can get started?
I would say volunteer, get involved. It might not always be, from at a zoo at the get-go, and that's okay. Your local animal shelter. If you are interested in this field, I think reaching out to your local community and finding any sort of volunteer position that is available, and just getting your name out there and showing that you're committed and you want to learn and grow, that opens up a whole bunch of opportunities in itself. So that's what I did. And I started in kennel walking dogs at 13. And for free, I was volunteering. And so I think that's a good way to start.
And Hannah and I have a very similar history in that I started at a vet clinic here in Tucson when I was 14, doing the very similar things. I worked there for 10 years, all through high school, all through my college. I got a degree in veterinary science. And then I have been here now for 15 years, being able to span several different departments, starting as a college intern to become a zookeeper, an educator, and moving into the role that I'm in now. So for you guys out there, there's a lot of volunteer opportunities here at Reid Park Zoo, whether or not you are a teen volunteer, whether or not you are a college student, or even an adult docent who just wants to come and volunteer. Check out our websites. If you are interested in any of those volunteer opportunities, we would love to have you. As this plane flies over, we're going to get ready to go and let out our squirrel monkeys. Hannah, before we do that, where are the squirrel monkeys and why are they there?
So,
you gotta talk up because the plane's flying.
There's a plane right here.
Actually, we're gonna hold our audio because I know it's really challenging to be able to hear while that plane's flying over. So give us just a moment here. There we go. Okay, go, Hannah.
Okay, so for those of you who have joined us at Reid Park Zoo recently, you may notice that we have 2 habitats for the squirrel monkeys to be in, the outdoor habitat and the indoor habitat. This morning, it's a little bit chilly. As you can see, we're all bundled up. So for them, they're teeny. They're, average of 700 grams. So it's pretty chilly out there. So for today, I'm just going to let them into the indoor habitat. But right now, when I was cleaning in there, I can't share a space with them. So they were in our, we call it a little night house in the back. And it's just a comfy space that's behind the habitat. So that is where they are right now, having some breakfast and playing. And as soon as you give me the go-ahead, Jed, I'm going to give them access into this space so you guys can see them.
Okay, well, I think we are ready for that go-ahead. So we are going to say goodbye to Hannah just for a moment. She's going to go around and let the squirrel monkeys in, and that's going to give me a moment to set up this camera over here so that you guys hopefully will get a good look at these guys coming out. Now, the goal and the trick with this habitat, as you guys may know, is that there is a bit of a glare on the window. So what I'm going to try to do is position our tripod. So give me a moment here. You're going to hear some noises and movement here. That's just the tripod getting in position. I'm going to try to get the camera as close as we can to the window so that we can decrease the glare as best as Okay, sorry. I think we might have lost audio. Emily, are we still on?
We can hear you.
Okay, good. Sorry, in doing so, my receiver fell off the camera here. See, technical stuff, I tell you. To be able to get you guys all this good video and audio takes a couple of things, and now we've got to try to figure out where is our squirrel monkey. So they're going to come right from the door in the back there. And again, I apologize a little bit about the glare. There's not a lot I can do with it. But once we do see them, I'm going to try to zoom in on them so that we reduce the glare. Let me just give Hannah the go-ahead. Yep, we got the thumbs up. And we're going to see some squirrel monkeys come flying out. Here we go. Door is opening there. And boom. Okay, all right. There we go. So, again, these guys are quick. They are fast, moving, extremely arboreal, meaning they love to climb through the forest canopies. So when we designed this habitat, we designed it specifically with this species in mind. And again, these guys are going to move around. They're looking for food. They're going to be very active right off the start. So once they start finding a spot to hang out, they're going to calm down a little bit, and then hopefully we're going to be able to zoom in and focus for you guys to get you guys a really good look. So I'm gonna work at this while we bring Hannah back out to introduce. So hello, Hannah. Hannah's back with us now.
Hello.
And yeah, just as you said, these guys came flying out of there, super excited. Now you talked about that when you first came in here, we put them into their bedroom, into their night house in the back. And that's because we have what's called protective contact. We've talked about protective contact before on here, but for those that may be new, just give us an idea of what protective contact is and why we use protective contact here at Reid Park Zoo.
Yeah, so like you said, we use protected contact sort of across the board here at the zoo. And what that generally means is that we are never sharing the same space as our animals. So what that does is it protects us and it protects them, keeps them feeling safe. We're not invading their space. And it just makes so that we have a really positive relationship, and we can provide them what they need without making them uncomfortable. So for them, everything I do with them, if I need to give them food by hand or give them medicine, training, I do it with a barrier or mesh between us. So that also gives them the choice to come and interact with me or not.
And this squirrel monkey being a primate, that means that they are susceptible to zoonotic diseases.
Yes.
And so whenever you go in to their space, even though you're not sharing it with them, you need to make sure that you have your N95 mask on,
yes,
which these days everyone knows what an N95 mask is, because not only could you get something from them, but you could also give something to them.
Correct. Yeah, so we use what's called PPE, personal protective equipment. And so I wear a mask, like you said, gloves, and I step in a foot bath before and after I enter their habitat every time I come in here. And so that is just to make sure that I'm not spreading anything to them, like you said, and they're not spreading anything to me or any of our other animals that I work with.
Okay, so let's introduce our squirrel monkeys. Who do we have? And let's see who is who. So I don't know if you
So,
can see where
yes.
the camera's at right now.
Yeah, so that in the back there, that is Miss Glitter.
Glitter.
Glitter, Glitter. She is our oldest squirrel monkey. She's only 6, but she's the oldest. We have a fairly young troop. She turned 6 this June. And then right in front of her, who just grabbed a piece of, it's just
Sweet potato
popped
there.
over her. Yeah.
Yep, got her right there.
Yep, that is Dazzle. She is the youngest. She just turned 4 in June, but she's actually the most dominant, which is pretty interesting.
Okay, and then it's going to be hard to see this guy up here because of the glare.
Well, he's also the fastest.
Yeah, he is just bouncing all around. But who is our other one?
That is Parker, our only male.
Where did he go? Is he over
is
here
at the
already?
basket. Yep.
Oh my goodness.
He bounces around a lot, and a lot of that is because he actually just turned 3 this month in October, which is a really exciting birthday for him because 3 is the average age that male squirrel monkeys reach sexual maturity. So he has shown a lot more interest in the girls, and he's really energetic, and you can see he's bouncing all over the place. A lot of that is because he's just a young male, but he's also has a bit of a rush of hormones in him right now. So he is a lot of fun to watch.
Okay, so we do have a breeding troop here. So they do have a breeding recommendation, and those of you guys that have been with us, you will remember the SSP, or the Species Survival Plan. And for each species, we have a stud book and a stud book coordinator, and each individual animal will get recommendations on breeding due to genetics, due to how many are within that bloodline out there. And so both of our females do have a breeding recommendation with Parker.
Yes.
And as you said, Parker is just entering into sexual maturity. What about females? Because they actually have a maturity that's a little bit faster than males.
Yeah, so the females actually reach maturity around between 2 and 3. In some cases, they've even reached sexual maturity just before the age of 2. So they are a little bit faster to reach maturity than males. And so with them, that means we have seen them doing what we call soliciting behaviors a little bit before him, where they were just showing some interest in him, but he wasn't quite ready to understand what that meant. And just now he is starting to sort of reciprocate that interest back in them.
Okay, so we have not had any kids here. So primate offspring are called kids. What is the gestation period of a squirrel monkey, and how many offspring do they typically have?
So gestation is between 4 and 5 months. Normally, they just have one kid or baby offspring at a time. They can have twins, but it's very unlikely that both will survive just because of the tiny size of these females. So just to give you a bit of perspective, our smaller female, Glitter, she is about 700 grams, and an infant can be as big as 150 grams. So that is a large portion of her little body. So typically it's just one baby that we expect to see.
Okay, so hopefully in the future we might see some squirrel monkey babies, and we have designed this habitat to expand our troop.
Yes.
I think some people have come here and said, well, it's a good sized habitat, but you don't have that many squirrel monkeys. And that's because we are preparing for potential babies in the future. So you don't want to put a whole bunch in and then not have room. You want to be able to always expand. Right now they are in their indoor space, and we designed this habitat with an indoor and outdoor. You were talking about earlier before we actually started our talk that it is weather dependent, and that goes to a little bit about where these squirrel monkeys are from.
Right.
And so where are they from, and why are they inside right now?
So they are from the neotropic area, so Central America and South America. What that means is typically hot and humid. So what's really cool about this indoor habitat is that it's completely temperature and humidity controlled. So I can mimic the neotropic environment that they would normally have in there, which is really great because although Arizona is beautiful and warm most of the time, occasionally in October, we have a cold snap like we do this week.
Okay, P.S. What is up with this cold snap? We went from 100 degrees to like 40 degrees in 24 hours. Not okay. But yeah, sometimes we do have that. And that's why we have these areas so that we can accommodate for any weather conditions.
Exactly. It's a little bit too chilly for them right now to be outside. We prefer not to give them outdoor access when it's sunny like this until it's like 55 or so. So in a little bit here, it might be warm enough. But yeah, for right now, we want to keep them nice and warm in there because they wouldn't be exposed to 40-degree temperatures in
the
South
tropics.
America.
Absolutely. So this is a South American, Central American species. That would mean that they are a New World monkey.
Yes.
And so our New World monkeys are, of course, from those regions as opposed to our Old World primates, which are from Africa and Asia. And these guys have a descendant line that is, anywhere from about 40 to 50 million years ago, are descendants from a species of monkey from our Old World, from Africa. And then there is a couple different species of squirrel monkeys. These ones are considered the common squirrel monkey. And again, they're living in the tropical rainforest. They live up in the trees. They're extremely arboreal, and they have excellent dexterity and agility. Now that tail is not a prehensile tail,
No.
but it is used for balance.
Yes. So when they sit on perches, they do what we call perching. So they sit kind of just balanced on the balls of their feet, and then they use their tails to balance and make sure that they have a good grip. They also use their tails when they're jumping from branch to branch. It sort of just helps them give a little bit more dexterity and balance when they're flying through the trees, which our little boy Parker is doing right now.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about how quick they are, and I am trying my best to follow them. And when one of them does kind of stop to take a little snack here, to try and get you guys the best picture that I can. But so I apologize if we're kind of bouncing all over the place, but we matched whatever the species is doing, and that's kind of what they're doing right now. So let's talk about their diet. We can see that one of our females here is eating Glitter's eating a cucumber.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about their diet and what do they love?
Squirrel monkeys are frugivores, and they are we all good?
Yep, I think we're good. I just have stuff falling off on me. Sorry.
No, that is good. They are frugivores and insectivores, which means they primarily eat fruits and small invertebrates. So our squirrel monkeys, we provide them with crickets and mealworms, but we also see them catching lizards and sparrows on their own accord outside, which is not uncommon in the wild. That's what they would be doing as well. We like to provide them with some good leafy green vegetables and things like cucumbers too, some root vegetables, just to make sure they are getting all of their vitamins and minerals. Since their environment, we have them in here a little bit different than in the wild, but we just try to keep them as healthy as possible.
And with that food, we also want to challenge them just like they would be challenged in the wild. Now, having multiple individuals in here is great enrichment. Those of you guys will remember we talked about enrichment as anything that changes up the day-to-day life of our animals. So that could be different food, different smells, different items, different challenges. And we have a lot of what we call puzzle feeders in here. And let's see, I'm going to try to get in on one of these. Let's see if we're going to go down. Let's just take a look at this puzzle feeder right here.
Looks like they already opened it.
And they've already opened that, but that actually has some locks and keys almost that they've got to manipulate that to get it open. Is that correct?
Yeah. So like you said, most of the food that I provide them with, I try to mimic what they would be doing in the wild, which is pulling and grasping and digging worms and fruits out of canopies and trees. So we definitely don't want to make it too easy for them because they spend the majority of their day foraging. That's just a natural behavior for them. So I, like you said, have a lot of puzzle feeders spread around here. And I think the one you were just showing was a little chest feeder. So they have to turn the key and use some hand manipulations, some good critical thinking skills. Some of these little feeders are just little cups with holes in them, small holes. So they have to reach in and just grab something and pull it out. And that's what they would be doing in the wild. So yeah, we try to mimic their normal foraging routine as much as possible.
Okay, let's talk about personalities. We
Yes.
know the species alone is, very inquisitive and social, but we also know that each individual has their own personality. So you talked about the younger female being the most dominant. Is that pretty typical to be female dominated in this species?
Sometimes it is when there are larger troops where there might be a couple of males. The females will form little female coalitions, and they will band together and be dominant over the males. Normally in this situation with a smaller troop, the male would be dominant, but our male Parker, like I've said earlier, is just coming into sexual maturity. So he's still pretty young and sort of figuring out his place and learning how to be a monkey and an adult. So right now it is that younger female who has stepped up into that dominance position. But with squirrel monkeys, their social hierarchies can change often and frequently and many times within the confines of just one troop dynamic. So I wouldn't be surprised if it changes soon as Parker is getting older.
Okay, now the one thing that I hear when people come to see our squirrel monkeys is how darn adorable they are.
Yeah.
We dropped it. We figured out how to let that go. Let's see. Then now they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, what happened?
Yep. Now their food
let's
is
go
sinking.
let's go get the all the food down there.
Devastated.
Yeah, he's like, oh my gosh, what did you just do? These guys are cute. They are adorable, and they as we said are inquisitive. They like to come up. Because of that, it's a little bit of their downfall. They are impacted because of the illegal pet trade. They are considered least concerned right now, so it's not necessarily a threatened species, but the species is facing some growing threats.
Yes.
One of them, habitat loss because of the rainforest that they live in, and the other one, the illegal pet trade.
Yeah, so these monkeys are obviously really adorable, and I think, unfortunately, people mistake that for meaning they might be good pets. And I am here to say from firsthand experience, these monkeys would be terrible pets. Not only would it not be great for them, because I have a whole team of people and a whole vet team to help me care for them and provide them with the care they need all day. So, to do that in your home would be incredibly difficult to keep them stimulated and healthy, but also for us, they are incredibly dirty. Like you saw, they throw their food on the ground, they wipe things on the wall, and they are just definitely not meant to be pets.
And one of the ways that they scent mark
Yes.
is by using urine. And
Yes.
what they'll do is they'll get that urine, they'll put it on their tail, they'll put it on their paws, and then they will mark that on different trees. And that's the way they will communicate with their troop members. And so just think if you had that in your house, you would have feces and urine from a squirrel monkey all over your house,
Yeah.
which of course is not a sanitary environment for you to be living in, and then eventually that would be detrimental for the individual monkey as well. And a lot of times I think people will see these guys as babies, and if you think they're adorable right now, a baby common squirrel monkey is even more adorable.
Yes.
And so we see this little baby thing and we're just like, oh my gosh, we can take care of this. It's so easy. I've seen it on TV, or I've heard about this, or whatever it is. It could not be further from the truth. So for those of you guys that love squirrel monkeys, please come see them here. Travel to their native habitats if you have the ability to do that. But do not look into going and purchasing a squirrel monkey. Most of the time, those individuals are taken from the wild. A lot of times they're taken from troops. A lot of times they're taken from their moms, which is not something that we want to reward and reinforce. So adorable little animals, but not one for the house.
No.
And we've definitely talked about pet responsibility here on our member talks. So you guys are probably well aware of what you should be doing if you want to bring a new animal into the house, whether or not it's a dog, a cat, a guinea pig, a hedgehog, whatever it is. Just make sure you do your research there. So, but I mean, that's an adorable little face for sure.
Yeah,
Now,
right now they're doing something that's, I just want to point out the two up there, that's Parker and Glitter. They are doing what's called a huddling behavior. So they are, they just had their breakfast and it's nice and warm in there and they look like they're about to maybe take a 5-minute snooze or so. But we always like to provide spaces for them to do that together. Napping and huddling together like that really reinforces those important social bonds and the troop dynamic. So just seeing those two together, they might not have been eating together or foraging together, but they are going to rest together right now, and that is important natural behavior for them.
So let's talk about some other natural behavior in their communication.
Yes.
These guys like to talk.
Yes.
They like to vocalize. They have several different vocalizations. What are they talking about?
Well, a lot, it seems. Like you said, it seems like they're constantly chittering and chattering. And what might just seem like cute little squeaks to us is actually really important communication for them. They might be just letting the other members of the troop know where they are if they can't see each other. Studies show that squirrel monkeys, researchers think that squirrel monkeys can actually identify other troop members just by their call from several miles away without being able to see them. So they might just be saying, hey, I'm over here, or letting other troop members know that they found food. I think one of the most common vocalizations that I hear during the day is a bit of an alarm call. And that can be because a heron flew overhead or a scary looking lizard ran by on the ground. So all of that is just important things that they need to communicate with each other to keep each other safe and healthy.
Absolutely. And they do have predators that would see this species as prey in their native habitat, and that is going to be a lot of our birds of prey. So we have our falcons and our eagles that they do have to keep an eye out for. They are very efficient at swooping through the trees and being able to grab these guys. So those vocalizations, that's where it helps to have the numbers, more sets of eyes out there, keeping aware of what's going on, and then being able to communicate, can tell the rest of the troop to be able to hide, to be able to get it this way or that way or what's coming. And then they will also look for terrestrial predators as well, like a jaguar, like a puma, like some of our smaller felids. So they do have a lot that they have to look out for. They are intelligent, they are very efficient, but they do have to be able to communicate, and that's kind of the power of the numbers and the power of their intelligence.
Right. Yeah, and like you were saying earlier, they also use scent communication. So the urine washing also helps. They can sort of mark their territory and leave olfactory or smelling cues, scent cues for their other troop mates. So all of that is really important stuff for them.
Okay, so at this point, we've covered a bunch about the species. Emily or Gail, do we have any questions that people are kind of firing up on the chat?
Yeah, we do have a few questions. The first question we have is, are the squirrel monkeys reacting differently to people wearing masks versus before when they hadn't encountered so many people wearing masks?
Good question.
That is a really good question. From what I can see, no. And I think a lot of that is because, like we were talking about earlier, I wear a mask with them anyway, or when I'm in their habitat or when I'm interacting with them through the mesh. So they're used to seeing me with a mask. So I think as far as that goes, I haven't seen any differences with me or the other keepers it might be a little bit interesting to them to see guests with masks on, but we haven't noted any differences in behavior. If anything, we just saw that they were really excited to have guests back.
Yeah, because you did say that this is a species that likes to interact with our guests as much as we like to interact with them.
Yes.
They'll come up. I've seen them put their hands right on the window. If a kid has their hand up there, they like to bounce off the window. Right now, as you said, we're getting a little bit towards snoozing time. So they got their little sleepy eyes going on, which is super cute.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, they miss the people as much as the people miss them.
Yeah, they love commotion and things going on. You can see they're very fast and they have really fast metabolism. So they really enjoy watching people and just seeing what's happening. They want to be involved and see what's going on.
All right, Emily, do you have another question?
Yeah, when we were watching Glitter kind of eating that piece of zucchini or cucumber, it looked like she was kind of stashing food at the top of the habitat through the mesh. What is that behavior, and is there a specific reason for it?
Yes, so that was a really good observation. That is called caching. There are a lot of different species who do that, including our squirrel monkeys. I find little bits of food in all different corners of the habitat, on the ceiling and the corners, and that's basically a survival technique. It's just a natural behavior that they do to...
Hold on, plane flying.
It's just a natural behavior that helps. It's sort of an insurance policy. I have a great snack right now. I don't know if I'm going to find this year later, so I'm going to put it here and I'm going to come back to it. So it's just a really great foraging technique that squirrel monkeys have.
All right, great question. Emily, do we have any others?
Yeah, so as many of you probably know from visiting, we do have Bella right next door, our jaguar. Are they aware of her? Do they realize that there's a jaguar so close by?
Yeah, yes, they definitely are aware of her. And actually, it was funny because when Bella first got here, we were a little bit worried about the first time when we let the monkeys out onto the outdoor habitat next to her. We thought it might be a little bit alarming to have her there, and we didn't know if they were going to be too scared to come out or just stressed, but they show some really excited and energetic behaviors when Bella is out there. They love to grab some food and go over to the mesh, and they sit there and watch her, and sometimes she'll get up and walk, and they sort of will make a little vocalization and run around, but then they come back and continue to watch her. So they don't show any stress behaviors by her, which is really great because they are neighbors.
Yeah, it seems like almost like they're interested in each other.
Yes, I think Bella reciprocates that, and that she will often be seen stunning watching them. So I think it's really good enrichment. Enrichment is anything that brings out a natural behavior. And so this would be social enrichment, because in the wild, squirrel monkeys would be seeing and hearing and smelling predators. So, and Bella would be seeing, hearing, and smelling prey. So I think it's good stimulation for them. And they definitely seem to be aware of each other, but it hasn't caused any stress yet, which we're really happy about.
Sorry guys, I'm trying to focus on this one here through the glass. So it's I'm trying to get it so it's not too blurry. So we're doing the best we can here, so hang on. Emily, you got any other questions?
Yeah, let's see. Do squirrel monkeys stay in the trees?
Yes, that is a great question. Squirrel monkeys are primarily arboreal, which means that they are tree dwelling. Every once in a while, if something really tasty or really motivating has dropped to the ground, or if they see a really great treat down on the ground, they might venture down there. But it's definitely something they seem to have to work up the courage and bravery to do, because they are much more vulnerable on the ground. So that's why in their habitats, we have a lot of perching and ropes and vines, and we provide most of their food up high because that is where they would be eating naturally.
And then we
Love
did
our
see,
arboreal species. Oh, go ahead, Emily.
oh, sorry. We did see that they were kind of doing that huddle behavior, and you said it was great for bonding. Do
Yes.
they groom each other? What other kind of bonding behaviors do they have?
Yes. Sorry, to think about how to answer this question. Familial groups. So if they were sisters or parents can be seen grooming, but none of our squirrel monkeys are related. So we don't actually see any grooming or allo grooming, as it's called, when one monkey grooms another monkey. So most of the social bonding we see is that huddling behavior, vocalizing, and sometimes they will do what we call cooperative foraging when they all work together to solve a puzzle and get some food out. That's also really great for strengthening those bonds.
So that'll be interesting if and when we do have a baby,
Yes.
if we see that behavior increase,
Yes.
that grooming behavior because of that maternal instincts, or that social dynamics may change. So that'll be interesting to see.
It will, and we really have no way of knowing who will give birth first. I suspect it will be whoever is the dominant female at the time. But oftentimes squirrel monkeys will do what we called Aloe Parenting. So the female who is not the direct mother of the infant will help out and either carry around the baby, retrieve the baby if it falls, and sometimes help with those grooming behaviors. So just having a baby in a troop in general is very reinforcing as far as their troop dynamics as well.
And kind of
Okay, great questions, guys.
Off from that, you had mentioned the cooperative foraging. Do we ever have keepers employ puzzle feeders that specifically require more than one monkey to access the food inside?
Yeah, that is a great question. We actually do have some puzzle feeders that need more than one, key or facet pulled or turned at once. So while one monkey can do it, it's so much easier with several. So we definitely put those out there to try to encourage that cooperative foraging behavior. But even, something as simple as sifting through hay or leaves together, that is still cooperative foraging. And so that can be, that can strengthen those social bonds as well.
What about scents and smells? I know for a lot of animals, we put out different perfumes and extracts. Do we do that with these guys? And do you see them kind of rub that on themselves?
We do put out scents and, different spices and perfumes for them, but they don't interact with that as much as some of our other primates or even carnivores do. What I found that they are really, really, what's really enriching for them is different tactile sensations. So I will put different substrates and different types of barks and vines for them to feel and grip. Things that are cold or hot, rough or soft, just different sensory tactile feelings. It seems to be really interesting to them.
Cool. All right, Emily, you got any more?
Yeah, I have one more. So we had kind of talked about urine washing. Is that similar at all to how lemurs cast scent with their tails?
It is similar. It's different for a couple of reasons. The urine washing serves many functions, actually. So it is used for scent marking and for providing those hormone cues to other monkeys, but it also is used for thermoregulation. So on a really hot day, I will often see them urine washing to cool their feet down. Just like we sweat, that is a great way for them to evaporate some of their heat from their hands and their feet. They also will use that to strengthen their grip on surfaces and vines. And then also, I think one of the most common uses is they will investigate the other's hormones. So Parker right now, as he's coming into sexual maturity, will run over and investigate the females after they urine wash. And a lot of that is just to see if they are receptive or not. So that's great that he's has that instinct to pick up, that he's picking up and is cueing in on the signals from the females.
Awesome.
Okay,
Thank you, Hannah.
do we have any other questions, Emily?
No, I think that covered all of them for today.
Okay, so one of the things that we do want to talk about is what can we do? We talked about the illegal pet trade and how this species is a bad pet to be able to bring into the home. But we also need to look at their habitat at their home, and there's definitely a few things that we can be doing from Tucson that can help out. And as always, you guys as members, you guys are supporting your local AZA zoo by being members here at Reid Park Zoo. So you guys are already taking that huge first step in being able to support and promote conservation that we do globally. But as a consumer, make sure that you are keeping your eye on all those products from companies that are doing responsible harvesting from wherever they are. So if we're looking at palm oil is a really big problem down in South America in the rainforest. They are clear cutting the rainforest to grow palm plantations, and palm oil is in a lot of things that we have, from makeup to candy to snacks. And you can take a look and see, is it palm oil friendly? Cheyenne Mountain actually has a wonderful app that you can scan the QR code, and you can tell if that company is using responsible ways of harvesting. So you can go to your app store, whether or not you have an Apple or whether or not you have an Android, whatever your device is, and just type in Cheyenne Mountain sustainable palm oil shopping, and it will come up. It's a great way to know and to put our money to good use, to tell these other companies, hey, if you're not following these sustainable ways, you're going to go out of business because the consumer is going to stop buying your product. So that's a really easy way for us to, put our money to good use in being smart shoppers. And you guys can do that every single time you guys go out. Now, Hannah, a lot of the times people will ask about color coding and color sequencing, and can the species see in color? This is an interesting species, being a New World primate, in that they do see colors, shades of colors. The males have more of a dichromacy, where they see kind of shades, and the females, about 2/3 of them, have a color pattern that very similar to ours. So that would be a trichromacy, where they can see color, and it would make sense as a species that is looking for fruit up in the top canopies, that they would have that color gradient. But it's interesting that the females tend to have a more vibrant color gradient that they can see rather than the males, and a lot of that has to do with that X chromosome, because our cones, those alleles, sit on those X chromosomes. Males having an XY, they only have one X chromosome. Females having an XX, they have two, so they actually have a double allele, and that's why 2/3 of those females have that trichromacy, which is the same color gradient that we as humans have. And even if they have the dichromacy, they still can see shades of colors, but it may not be as vibrant. So very interesting in their color observation. It is a species that's been studied quite a bit in their color pattern, their color coding. And again, it makes sense for these primates to be able to know what fruit is ripe, what things may be toxic, may be poisonous, to be able to see those colors to make sure that they stay safe. So an interesting just color gradient. And I know we try to work with that here and giving them some, not only different fruits and stuff, but also a lot of things that are very colorful. So in whole, quite an amazing species. one that is fairly new to our zoo over here in the Temple of Tiny Monkeys. So if you have not had an opportunity to come say hi to our troop of squirrel monkeys, make sure you do. They are fun, they are energetic, and throughout this time, you've seen them kind of run through, grab some food, do some fun things, take a little nap, and now we're stretching and we're getting back into it. So a fairly active species here that is always doing something fun and amazing. So with that, I just want to thank Hannah for taking the time out of her day to hang out with us, to tell us all about these amazing species, our squirrel monkeys. And I again want to thank all of you, our members, for supporting Reid Park Zoo, and also for joining us for our member virtual chat. We will have another one next Wednesday. I'm not exactly sure what it's going to be yet, so stay tuned. I've got a couple ideas, but I'm kind of playing some things out with some different animals. Now that we did just get cold, it does change things a little bit. So stay tuned. Emily will get that information out to you very soon. Yes, capybara. We have not done the capybara, so that's an interesting one. We might. It's on my list of ones to do. So with that, I just want to say goodbye and thank you guys as always, and stay wild, Tucson.